everywhere. GBS.
A very good evening. You're just on time for GBS News at 9. It is always a pleasure to have you here with us. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Tonight we'll be talking about the partisan dialogue. Joining me to have this conversation is Honorable Esther Waringa, Chief Executive Officer, Public Service Governance, and Mr. Wellington Ouma, political scientist. Engage us through our SMS line 21144, GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Let's kickstart tonight's bulletin. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance Coalition has today announced its 7 members bipartisan negotiation lineup, which is in accordance with its agreement with the Kenya Kwanza administration. Speaking during the Azimio parliamentary group meeting in Machakos, the party co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka reiterated the coalition remains open to genuine, honest and transparent dialogue, but not without its demand. The negotiations are meant to constitute the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission via Parliament. Kabila with that report.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition on Thursday announced its 7-member bipartisan negotiation lineup. Speaking during the Azimio parliamentary group meeting in Machakos, the party's co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka reiterated that the coalition remains open to genuine, honest and transparent dialogue, but not without its demands.
We, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition leaders, drawn from the Council of Governors, Parliamentary Group, and the County Assemblies Forum, have gathered here at Stony Athi Resort, Machakos County, this Thursday, the 6th April 2023, and review the status of our country in light of the ongoing national discourse, and have resolved the following. Number 1, we reaffirm that we in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition are ready and open to a genuine, honest and transparent dialogue in the interest of Kenya, devoid of some of the grandstanding and intransigence we are witnessing from some in Kenya Kwanza. Number 2, that we fully adopt the position of the coalition as set out in the keynote speech delivered by His Excellency Raila Odinga at this retreat. Number 3, that the Azimio Coalition reiterates its call for a genuine, inclusive national dialogue outside the constrictions of Parliament in order to achieve the intended goals.
The team, which is in accordance with Azimio's agreement with the Kenya Kwanza administration on electoral reforms, consists of 3 senators and 4 members of parliament, namely Senators Ledamo Lekina of Narok, Edwin Sifuna of Nairobi, Enoch Wambua, Kitui, and members of parliament David Kosing of Pokot South, Utiende Omolo of Rarieda, Melio Diambo of Suba North, and Amina Mianzi of Malindi will meet the Kenya Kwanza team to deliberate on the negotiations. However, in his address, the opposition chief Raila Odinga on Thursday revealed the opposition's terms for the bipartisan talks with Ruto's team. The 8 issues the Azimio coalition wants to be tabled before the bipartisan committee are: 1. Recommend measures to lower the cost of unga, fuel, electricity and school fees. 2. Conduct a review and forensic audit of the servers used by the IEBC before, during and after the 2022 presidential election. 3. Review the appointment and the dismissal of IEBC commissioners, including their tenure of office, and recommend institutional, policy, legal and constitutional mechanisms, restructuring and reforms of the IEBC. 4. Consider restructuring of the IEBC by devolving structures to the counties, and whether the country really needs commissioners working on permanent basis. 5. Recommend legal policy and institutional reforms to strengthen and improve the electoral system and the processes to entrench a culture of free and fair elections, administered in an impartial, transparent, simple, accurate, verifiable and secure system. 6. Review the circumstances that led to the dismissal of the IEBC commissioners, commonly known as the Chirera 4, and reinstate them in office. 7. Review and recommend changes in the law that will entrench party discipline or fidelity, requiring MPs who cross party lines after elections to seek a fresh mandate from the electorate, and 2. To allow parties to replace nominated MPs who cross party lines. 8. Initiate legislation to address the electoral, governance and economic gaps identified during the inquiry for consideration by the houses as appropriate. The Joint Task Force is said to present its report to the Parliament within 30 days of its establishment. On Sunday, while addressing the nation, President William Ruto suggested that he was ready and willing to engage with Odinga on the reconstitution of the IEBC through a bipartisan approach via Parliament. Consequently, Ruto asked Odinga to call off the planned anti-government protest scheduled for Monday, which the Azimio chief responded positively.
Send a memorandum to the speakers of the National Assembly and Senate requesting the purposive intervention on implementation of the 2/3 gender rule, entrenchment in the constitution of the Constituency Development Fund, Senate oversight and national gender affirmative action funds, establishment of the position of the leader of opposition, and the improvement of parliamentary oversight of the executive. And for the record, Parliament has already approved the parliamentary oversight of the executive, and shortly, cabinet secretaries will be appearing before the House to answer questions. The other items are still in Parliament. The IEBC selection panel and the future process of recruitment of its commissioners could as well be part of a conversation leading to constitutionally and legally binding proposals through a bipartisan parliamentary process. In other words, I am suggesting that the issues that have been raised by our friends on the matter of IEBC, my suggestion is that this matter can be handled in Parliament by a bipartisan parliamentary process so that we can agree on what it is they have an issue with, and we can adjust as is agreed and as necessary. And therefore, in these circumstances, and in view of the recent events that led to loss of life and destruction of property in the demonstrations that have occasioned in our country for the last 2 weeks, I urge my brother Raila Odinga and the opposition to call off the demonstrations and to give this bipartisan approach a chance for us to take the country forward.
The president subsequently exuded confidence that a bipartisan approach through the parliamentary route would yield a significant results in ending the impasse. On the contrary, his deputy Rigathi Gachagua has taken a chance to renounce claims of possibilities of there being a handshake between Odinga and Ruto.
Situkubaliane kama Wakenya tutembee pamoja barabara ya kufanya maendeleo ya wananchi. Munasema tupange maandamano ama maendeleo? Munasema tupange maandamano ama maendeleo?
Umefanya vizuri kuongea na wale jamaa waende bunge, lakini mambo ya handshake hawa wamekataa. Mumekataa. Mumekataa. Unajua Mheshimiwa Rais, hawa watu ya Azimio wanakachifu mimi ati mimi nakataa handshake. Mimi sikatai. Mimi ni mtu ya kuandikwa kazi na hawa ndio wameniajiri kazi, na lazima ufanye vile tajiri yako anasema.
Sasa nataka niwaeleze ile maandamano wanajigapo wataanza. Sisi we are busy demonstrating the capacity of the people of Kenya. Wao waendelee na maandamano na demonstrations zao.
In the 2007 post-election period, Kenyans experienced a similar political atmosphere, which was mainly brought about by the allegations of rigged elections and led to the formation of the office of the Prime Minister after a bipartisan negotiation between Raila Odinga and the late former President Mwai Kibaki. Is Kenya heading the same direction? Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Thank you very much, Hilary Kabila, for that detailed report. And that ushers us to our topic tonight. We'll be talking about the partisan dialogue. And of course, keep the conversation going on. The SMS line is 21144, GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. I'm joined by experts on the field, and I'm so thankful to have one lady and gentleman that is, of course, making this conversation very, very free and very, very fair. We have the gender balance here. And I'll start by introducing on my very, very far end. I have Mr. Wellington Ouma, who is a political scientist. And thank you so much for joining us and, of course, taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And, of course, my good friend here, we have Honorable Esther Waringa, the Chief Executive Officer of the Public Service Governance. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. And a good evening to you.
Good evening to you too.
Good evening. And for those who don't know, I've been having online conversations with Honorable Waringa here, and I'm so thankful to finally meet. Now, we are meeting now, not virtually, like you're live here with us, and I'm pretty sure my viewer appreciates that as well.
Yes.
Now, before even, because I feel we'll have a lot of chats, let's just kickstart with a conversation tonight about the bipartisan dialogue. I'll start with you on my far end. The bipartisan dialogue has been something that was very unfamiliar to many years of Kenyans, but from Sunday, it has been, from the president, did talk about that. It's something that a lot of Kenyans have been hearing. For Anjiko out there who doesn't understand, what is this bipartisan dialogue?
Thank you for having me. Now, it has been there. The term has been there. It's only that it is being used now more than before. Yeah. Otherwise, it is a process where two opposing teams, they form a special team to address issues of contention. Usually, it is being raised by one party who is not satisfied by a certain occurrence of events. And it pushes that to other party, and then they come together to address it. So the people that addresses it is taken away from a larger population, and it is narrowed down to the special team. And that's why you see today they launched the 7 committee member that will be addressing that. So I think they also expect the other side to present their team. So that is what is called the special team that will be addressing such raised issues.
Thank you so much for that detailed answer as well, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people did understand because you made that very easy. Now to you, Madam Waringa, from Sunday, from the president calling for these bipartisan talks, there's been a lot of things that have happened, and we could feel a lot of frictions because what many people may have understood by bilateral talks, it is a form of a handshake, a negotiation. But the president going to Rwanda and saying we are not having a handshake with these people, and then the opposition leader in response did say that we are also not looking for a handshake. There's a lot of friction there for people who are looking for a bipartisan approach. The digested direction has a lot of... How do you think this issue is going to be addressed?
Very well. If they stick to their words that one party is not looking for handshake, and the other party is not giving the handshake, then it will be all right. If we are clear and we are truthful to the matter, or if they are clear with themselves and truthful to the matter, that what we want to address is the cost of living, is the electoral processes, is whatever else that Azimio is looking for solutions, then that's fine. Because actually, as a country, we cannot be like every other after elections. There is no winner, there is no loser, there is violence in the country, the country plunges into a small war. We don't want this country to be on the international domain for wrong reasons. And that is why we are saying that this time, because we had the National Accord, 2008, okay, it brought some probably, I would say, temporary solution to the country. The economy started growing, our GDP started peaking. Then, all of a sudden, again, we plunge into another one in the next election that brought about again the handshake. Again, the economy crumbled down. After 2 years now, the economy kind of was coming better. And then again now, here we are, bipartisan negotiations. So this is the third time. Kenya, are we looking forward to a fourth time? Then we are not thinking out of the box. We should think of sustainable solutions now. If we talk of bipartisan, what solutions are we giving? And that is why we are challenging this committee that is coming on board. The 7 members who are appointed by Azimio today, the members who will be appointed by the president's team. Please, it's not about you as politicians. It's about Wanjiku. It's about the people who voted you in. It's about that Mama Mboga who is buying unga at 190. So as you sit down, here are some of the guiding principles that we are giving you. that number one, it will not be about you. And even for the two principals, for Ruto and for Raila, it's not about the two of you. It's about the 50+ million people of this republic that are looking forward to sober leadership and objective leadership and progressive leadership. Let me tell you one thing. As we form these committees, Kenyans are waiting. Kenyans are like, okay, what's going to come out of it? Are we going to hear the reduction of UNGA from 200 or 190 to 70 shillings? Are we going to, where are we as Wanjiku? So we task them to be very careful about even the resolutions that is going to emanate from the committee. Therefore, whatever they are going to do, interest number one, whether they are addressing the issue number one about the IBC, number two about the cost of living, number three about party politics and everything else, Wanjiku must be at the center of everything that is going to be discussed. The guiding principle is sustainable development and economic growth for this country that is non-politicized. We are a country that has basically been politicizing everything. Even the bipartisan approach is being politicized already. How are they going to agree if they look at from a political perspective? Because as we talk right now, some of them cannot talk to each other. They will only address each other on national TV. So how are they going to talk? So they must come together and they must cool down. Let us cool down political temperatures. Because if we address this issue from that political utopia, we'll go nowhere. It calls for humility. It calls for sobriety. It calls for objectivity so that we can get lasting solutions. And if they don't, of course we are here. We have the Kenya Bila Uchaguzi bill, and we are saying, let us do away with elections. The bill is underway now to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission as a popular initiative bill.
And even as you hold on that thought, I would like Mr. Wellington to tell me whether, from just where you see it, will this bipartisan approach feel the people of Kenya, the peace, the stability they are yearning for? Does this bipartisan approach bring that from where you see it?
Thank you very much. If you look at the history of Kenya, the Wanjiku that the honorable member is talking about, in my view, has sold to their political leaders, in that they are being decided for by these people. And in fact, anything that causes destabilization to a political leader definitely is translated to the Wanjiku. So if you want to get stability in the hearts of Wanjiku, then you first achieve it in the hearts of their political leaders. Now, if you remember the 2008, 2007, when there was that national accord, immediately President Kibaki and the Right Honorable agreed. There was peace. You know, the Wanjiku was not on the street, simply because the interest, all the factors that were raised were addressed by these leaders. So I'm also of the strong view that if there is a will between the two sides, the two leaders, the two principals, then definitely there'll be a way. Because if the interest of both of them are settled, that will be translated to the whole country, the whole population, the supporters of these people. So in my view, I think that if it is handled well and it is not politicized, as the honorable member is talking about, is saying, then there would be a way out. And actually, that is why they are calling it non-partisan. They want to take it away from the full view of every member to contribute. They only want to take it to the parliament, as the Raila was suggesting, after they have agreed outside the parliament. That is to avoid some of the technicalities, especially the standing orders that may stop them from accessing things that are not subscribed within the Constitution. So in my view, I think that yes, it is possible if the interest of these leaders who are coming out strongly are met. It will be translated to the whole of their supporters. Yes.
Now, even as you did talk about the 2008 issue, there's an issue that I felt both of you have been addressing. On Tuesday, the opposition leader did say that this parliamentary approach will not do much. And he did call for the same approach that did happen in 2008, the Kofi Annan approach, if maybe you can remember that. For him to suggest that, are we looking at another prime minister? Because, of course, what we understand by the 2008 approach is the division, the agreement of sharing powers. Are we looking at another prime minister? Just your predicaments. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, first of all, this probably should be approached in phases. Instead of right now actually calling the international partners to come on board, why first of all don't we exhaust our internal networks, our internal capacity to give solutions to such kind of problems, instead of first of all going to other countries and even proclaiming it from other international forums. No, let us first of all put our house in order. And I would request, because the things that we are seeking to address are things that can be addressed even through parliament, even through through an act of parliament, through that negotiations structure, we can still be able to realize that. And by the way, even the people of Kenya, the civil society, for example, the public service governance, already we have initialized a bill at the Senate, the Affordable Kitchen Bill for all women in Kenya. And we are seeking to zero rate the 5 major items that every woman uses in Kenya every day. Every day we use mchele, rice. Yeah. Every day we use sugar. Yeah. Every day wheat flour or maize flour. Every day cooking oil. It's an everyday thing. And every day we use cooking gas. So if these 5 things are zero rated, that will be the beginning of a sustainable solution. The worst thing we can do is to politicize this process in a way that even if the bipartisan team is going to sit down, they will just give us cosmetic solutions. No. This time, Kenyans, tafadhali, and listen to us, we are demanding sustainable solutions. And if we are not going to get the sustainable solutions right now, let us have them into phases. That this is the immediate, and then intermediate, and the long term. And put it very clear to Wanjiku, so that we are able to know that in the next 100 days, but we have to, whatever we put on paper must be realistic. That in the next 100 days, we are going to reduce the cost of this. In the next maybe 2 to 3 months, we are going to do, I mean not 3 months, but 1 year. In the next 3 years, we are going to do this. This is the kind of informed, professional, objective reasoning that we are waiting from this team. Otherwise, for now, I think we should also prove as a country that we have brains before even we go to our neighbor Uganda and Rwanda. Kenya exports human labor, human resource, the brains. So first of all, let us not wash our dirty linen in public, international public, but first of all, let's get this bipartisan team for the first time. Let them keep off their political differences from these negotiations, and out of that, we are going to get informed choices. If they don't deliver, then in a public service governance, we are there to make things work, even before we go to the international domain.
Thank you so much, Honorable Waringa.
You're most welcome.
Mr. Wellington, if you could listen to Honorable Waringa, she was talking about solving our issues by ourselves as a country. And of course, this is having a dialogue between the two leaders. And just due to lack of better words, so far so bad. Because basing on our observation on the reiteration from the both parties, this one's I'm not looking for handshake, I'm not giving any handshakes. And of course, if you could be able to look at the Azimio coalitions, there's proposals that they gave to the government. They did talk about the cost of living. That is an issue that is affecting everyone, children, mothers. That is an issue that is affecting everyone. But it did also add the issue of opening servers. It did talk about the reconstitution of the IEBC. They talk about, of course, the justice of the media, and he did talk about the reinstating of the Cherera 4. There are some issues that he did outline. But so far, what the president has addressed is the issue of the reconstitution of the IEBC. Now, can this Kenya Kwanza government comprehend the demands of the Azimio coalition? And can we also, from just Honorable Waringa's statement, are we going to be able to have these, our own conservative talk without involving these internationals?
All right, thank you very much. I think so far so good, because both we used to have, now that for the last 2 weeks we've been having mandamano, and many Kenyans have lost, some of them have lost their lives, some are in hospitals. Yeah. So for now, I think it was suspended because the president, he relented, and he welcomed some of the suggestions from the opposition. And in response, the opposition also suspended their mandamano. So far, that is a good step, especially for the sake of stability. Now, secondly, I think we must also know that the Constitution, the 2010 Constitution, have sorted out a larger percentage of the problems that Kenya have, because most of the things that were contentious before were actually included in the Constitution. For example, it describes when, who, and how. Who becomes the president? Whoever gets 50 plus 1. That one, it sorts out that. Who then becomes the leader of opposition? Whoever now comes after that, now becomes it has already been established. Now, the only issue here is acceptability of the outcomes, and also the underlying interest that the people may be having. And as Ms. Mira said, sometimes politicians have got interests that they want to be achieved and sustained, and sometimes they may not want to ask it directly that this is what they want, and because of they want to also do well to their supporters. And in a manner of doing that, they hide by calling the international community. If you want to do an implementation of something and you are a bit reluctant on how it will result out, you hide. How do you hide? You call her to come and do that. So implement that what you wanted through her, so that it will not be said entirely that it was yours. Now, having said that, I also want to mention that there are issues that the president has agreed with that were raised by the opposition. And if you look critically to those issues, then you will confirm that there are issues that are touching on all, not only Kenyans, but they are geopolitical, they go across the border. And the president has agreed that, okay, you have mentioned this, and it is true that we need to look into that. Those are very key. However, if you look at the demands of the opposition, then you will realize that it is a bit going further than that. You have to note that there is the government. It is a government, the government with all the tools and all the instruments of power, and given by the Constitution because they won it constitutionally, and there is the opposition. So as a sitting government, you must not sometimes give heed to all the demands of your opponent. Otherwise, you will not be the person in charge. So you look at what is workable and you pick it, and you look at what is just behind and you leave it. So if you look at, as I said, if you look at what they are calling on the opposition, then the president has mentioned it many times that their problem is on the election. You see, so these others they are raising as a by the way to cover the main agenda. So the 7 teams that they've appointed today, if you look at the list of the things that they have asked for discussion, then you will realize that you can point out where this discussion is going. And that's why you see some of the MPs from like I saw the leader of majority, there are issues that they are mentioning during their public rallies. And if you carefully look at the things that they are raising, then you will be able to tell that, oh, this is what the opposition party, they want, which they are not telling the public. So I would think that as a sitting president or as a government, you don't fall a victim of every call. You are leader, you lead. You are not led. People voted you to lead, not to be led or to be advised on what to do. And you don't take every opinion. You only go by what you feel is for the general good being of the public.
Thank you so much. And even as you spoke about that, something did come in mind when you spoke about the decision of the coalition, taking about matters like the cost of living, when the real concern is, of course, the elections that did happen. Mm-hmm. Now, Honorable Oringa, what I want you to address is whether the opposition is looking for the interest of Kenyans, because of course, based on the observation that we could see, there was a lot of cry on the high cost of living. And even as we talk about the coalition, the Azimio coalition, the government as well. There's a question on whether the government is thinking about the cries of Kenyans. If you could see the talks on Twitter on the president's appointment of the CASs, he appointed 50 CASs and 23 are stipulated in the constitution. And these CASs, they have the mortgage, they have a salary of about 670,000 plus salaries, and they have a 20 million allowances for their cars. There's a lot of funds going to that, and the president is saying, I am working towards reducing the cost of living, but the actions that is being done is going contrary. Now, between the current regime and the opposition, is there anyone who is thinking about the wellness of the Kenyan people?
That's the most unfortunate thing, and for once, we have to be real. Mm-hmm. Because don't tell me that you're reducing the cost of living, yet we have 50 CASs. through what we call political rewarding. And this is one of the reasons that PSG is kicking out elections once and for all. Because if there was no political rewarding, people are brought into service delivery or into state office because of capacity to deliver, because of merit, because of willingness to serve the people of Kenya. Then the issue of rewarding will totally be wiped out. And that's why we are calling upon Kenyans to think and think again about what we are talking about, Kenya without elections. Or today in the morning they said operations, no elections. So when we see bloated government, when we see the government wage bill going high as a result of 50 CSs and other people who have been added into government, others that are not constitutional, then we ask ourselves, is the president having Wajiko at heart? Because remember that these CSs are going to be paid using what? Wajiko's taxpayer money. Instead of using that money to be able at least to reduce the cost of unga, to reduce the cost of fuel, which will automatically reduce the cost of living. We are only thinking about how can we reward those people who brought 2-3 votes from whatever region. And that's why I'm saying, and I must repeat, allow me to repeat, Beatrice, that elections have torn this, tearing this country down. The fragrance of elections is totally faded off. And we must bring elections to an end. If we have to sustain the economy, if we have to sustain development in our country, if we have to bring sobriety and order into government, elections must come to an end. So my dear sister, what Wajiko needs is water, education, agriculture, energy. We have ministries of government. Consider a scenario whereby all the money that is used to do campaigns, all the money that is used by IBC for voter registration, for BVL kits buying, for ballot boxes and ballot papers printing, if all that money put together between 40 and 50 billion per election, actually 40 to 100 billion because of like the presidential run and all this, if that kitty is geared towards development, we couldn't be crying of food in Northern Frontier. We couldn't be crying of a failed GDP. We couldn't be crying of unga now at the cost that it is, even the fuel. Because if we inject this money into the economy, then automatically this fund is going to boost the economy. But what we are doing, we are draining the development fund of the nation. When paying 50 CSs through the same money that is supposed to be for development, that is supposed to give us fertilizer, maize, that is supposed to give to work towards reducing the cost of fuel, then we are missing it out. So what are our priorities, my dear? Are our priorities trying to make a few people of this country 10% happy at the expense of Wanjiko by ensuring that we form a bipartisan committee that will look into the interest of elections? He just put it very clearly, that everything is revolving around elections. So, a doctor, if you treat symptoms of a disease, the disease does not go away.
Correct.
But if you treat the root cause of that particular disease, then the disease automatically goes away. Therefore, what we are looking in this country is the bipartisan team, not giving us cosmetics again, but we are looking for a lasting solution. As a country, we are not ready to spend between 40 and 70 or 100 billion in election. Then the same election, we go for a presidential rerun. The same election, now it's bipartisan. Again, remember that the bipartisan committee sitting down, it's allowances. Through who? The exchequer, through Wajiko taxation. When shall we sit down and discuss how to reduce the cost of unga through the exchequer, or maybe through a system that is going to benefit Wajiko completely? But now everything is geared towards, okay, elections, elections, elections. I think I'm tired, and that is why Kenya bila uchaguzi must work in this country. We are ready. 1 million signatures, I think it will be an overnight because Wajiko is tired. Remember the voter apathy. Why? Wajiko is tired. We elect these people today, tomorrow is violence. We elect these people today, tomorrow is bipartisan politics. And let me tell you, one president said that 2 years before election, the economy of the country comes down. And it is very true, my dear. 2 years before these elections, unga was skyrocketing, fuel was skyrocketing. 2 years after, even we are not yet 2 years after election, look at what we are going through. Tafadhali, operations, no elections again in the Republic of Kenya.
Thank you, Honorable Waringa.
Karibu
Now,
sana.
to you, Mr. Wellington, I would like to know your thoughts on the same, on whether the government or the opposition is thinking about the wellness of Kenyans. And just briefly, because the director is telling us we need to conclude, time is not on our side. I'd also like you to comment and tell us, we have a lot of struggles of the bipartisan approach. Now we have the bipartisan approach and we have the national accord approach. Where is the wellness of Kenyans? Where does the wellness of Kenyans stand? Which is the best approach? Just briefly, as you give your parting shot.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we must understand that in politics we say that every general must organize his team before the war. And after the war, the general must reward his team to appreciate the effort that they put. Any general that fails to reward his team will fail in the next war, in the next battle. So that's what any general that does that, then to prepare to fail. Having said that, then I also want to mention that the team that both the sides, you know, the CS that she has mentioned, every leader, even any organization, whether high school or what, every time the new principal comes, he organizes his team. And so I think it is fair for any person, even the president or anybody who have any position, to organize and arrange his team, those that he believes would deliver. Because the issues at hand here is to help the Wanjiku to live a good life, to sort out the issues for Wanjiku to prevail. And sorting out that is to arrange your team in order. So I think if it is in the wisdom of the president to bring all those people to help him, then let's give it to him. So at the end of the 5 years, we will judge whether that was the correct thing or not. Now, your question is whether these two teams have got interests of Kenyans. I think that our democracy has come from far, and we keep on making it better and better through the experiences that we undergo through. And the issues that are currently being raised are probably were missed during the formation of the 2010 Constitution. And that's why they want to fill the gaps that were left. Because the problem here is that why is it that there is a lot of contention after every elections? Why do people fight? Where is the problem? Now that we have the constitution that are very much advanced, then why do we still have issues? So when such questions are raised, they are very good for the progress of democracy of any country. And as things goes, then it opens the door for people to discuss, so that those other openings that maybe were not were forgotten can be sealed. And when that one is sealed, then it will translate to the general well-being of the Wanjiku, because all these things are done. For example, the cost of unga, all those other the contention for the positions. You know, when they are fighting now, like those people who are died, those who are in the hospital, they are the Wanjiku. So if these things are done well, then there would be no chance for people to go under manner because of such, because they have already been sorted out. And when that one is done, then Wanjiku will have been sorted. So in my view, I think that what the two sides are doing, generally they are all fighting for the common goal. The common goal is to help the Wanjiku down there. So I think that both of them, it's only that maybe they have taken different routes, but they are addressing the same issue.
Your parting shot as you conclude.
I think that Kenyans, let us embrace each other, let us help one another. We are brothers, we are sisters. Where there is issues, let us sit down and talk like they are now talking, and we live together as we have always lived. Kenya is ours, and we pray that we continue the same way, in a good way. So let us keep fit, let us keep calm, let us give this team chance to see where they will take us to.
Honorable Waringa, your parting shot.
Thank you very much. I think what we are experiencing in the Republic of Kenya happens after every 5 years. This is not something new. As we said from the beginning, we had the National Accord, and again we had the handshake. Now we have the bipartisan. What are we going to have in 2027? This must stop. Kenyans, we must think beyond the elections box. And if we are to move together as a country, if we are to have continuity of development, that's what we call sustainable development, beyond the 5 years, then we have to get to the root cause of what has been ailing our country since elections 1992. And what has a beginning has an end. And when an old cloth tears off, When something gets its fragrance of, like the way the elections now, the fragrance has faded, you throw away elections and you think out of elections box and do something new that will bring new blood, new thinking, new energy, and new strategies for development. Together we can, PSG, tunawaletea Kenya bila uchaguzi.
Thank you so much. And just like the words you say, whatever has a beginning has an end. Even as we conclude this interview, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your time and, of course, having this conversation. However, I felt time was very limited and there was a lot to talk about. So I look forward to having a next sitting on the same. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. And you have heard from the expert. That was Honorable Esther Waringa, CEO of PSG, and of course, Mr. Wellington Ouma, political scientist. The SMS line is 21144. GBS TV Africa. Tell us your thoughts on the same. We have a lot more lined up for you in our news segment, but first, let's take a quick commercial break.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News at 9. Today, Thursday, the 6th of April. And of course, the SMS line is 21144. To continue with our bulletin tonight, President William Ruto has said the government has prioritized the construction and expansion of dams to boost the agriculture sector. The head of state said his government is also integrating cold storage in the whole food production chain from the point of harvest to the point of purchase by the end customer, so as to minimize post-harvest losses and ensure fresh produce farmers like those in Nyandarua. Ruto also opened the All-Kalau potato cooling storage in Nyandarua County in the company of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Nyandarua Governor Ndirangu Badilisha, among other leaders. Earlier, he launched the tamaking of 55-kilometer Captain Demi and Wantumanjohi, Kwamatu, Geta to Kehuro, Ndunyu, Jeru Road, and addressed wananchi at the Ndunyu Jeru Trading Center and All-Kalau town.
Wewe umetoa mwongozo, umesema watu watulie, wajadiliane kulingana na kisheria kwa bunge. Sasa sisi tunashangaa, tunaona ma statement zinasema sasa wewe you must implement certain policies. Wakati rais alichaguliwa, aliuza sera zake mfumo wa beta.
Nataka niwahakikishie ya kwamba sehemu yetu kama viongozi, nikiongoza hawa viongozi wote hawa kutoka ma MCA na wabunge na magavana, sote tutaungana ili tuweze kutekeleza yale ahadi tuliwapatia
tubadilishe hii Kwale na tubadilishe taifa letu la Kenya. Na ndio sababu mojawapo ya yale mambo niliwaeleza ni mradi huu wa Mwache. Na ndio leo nimepata nafasi ya kufika hapa. Tumekuwa tukizungumza na viongozi, nimekuwa nikipanga na hawa mawaziri na wale wote ambao wanahusika ili damu hii.
Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, Penina Malonza, on 6th of April 2023, presided over the commissioning of Ushanga Kenya Initiative Committee, which will oversee the transition of Ushanga Kenya Initiative into a state body. Speaking during the commissioning ceremony, the CS noted that it was a significant step towards ensuring the promotion of culture, heritage, and empowering women through entrepreneurship. James Odhiambo with that report.
Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, Penina Malonza, on the 6th of April 2023, presided over the commissioning of the Ushanga Kenya Initiative Committee, which will oversee the transition of Ushanga Kenya Initiative into a state body. Speaking during the commissioning ceremony, the CS noted that it was a significant step towards ensuring the promotion of cultural heritage and empowering women through entrepreneurship, and the purpose of the transition is to ensure that Ushanga women and their products are protected both locally and internationally.
It is a great pleasure for me to be here today to commission the committee that will oversee the transition of Ushanga Kenya Initiative into a state body. The purpose of this transition is to ensure that Ushanga women and their products are protected both locally and internationally. This is a significant step towards ensuring that we promote our cultural heritage and empower women through entrepreneurship.
The women of Ushanga Kenya have played a vital role in preserving Kenya's cultural heritage by incorporating traditional African designs into their products. The CS further added that the project addresses the sustainable development goals that intend to end poverty in all its forms, social inclusion, and gender empowerment, among others.
They have not only been able to provide for their families, but have also played a vital role in preserving our cultural heritage by incorporating traditional African designs into their products. This project addresses the sustainable development goals that emphasizes to end poverty in its all forms, social inclusion, gender empowerment, among others.
However, despite their success, Ushanga Kenya has faced its fair share of challenges, particularly from middlemen who have exploited the women by buying their products at throwaway prices and exporting them to international markets where they make huge profits.
Despite their successes, Ushanga Kenya has faced its fair share of challenges, particularly from the middlemen who have taken advantage of the women by offering them low prices for their products. This has affected their profitability, and threatened the sustainability of their businesses.
Principal Secretary, State Department for Culture and Heritage, Ms. Umi Bashir, stated that culture is very important in the country as per Article 11 of the Constitution. She further stated that Ushanga deals with 7 pastoral communities currently, and it is time to move to more counties and be self-sustaining and stable.
Culture is very important to us as a country, as per Article 11 of our Constitution. Ushanga deals with the 7 pastoral communities currently, and it is time we now moved to more counties. It is time for Ushanga to be self-sustaining and stable as a saga, and the only way for us to implement and achieve that is through taking the first step of this up to the task competent committee that has been formed and shall be commissioned today by Waziri Malonza.
The chairperson for Ushanga Initiative, Mrs. Helen Kaiseri, noted that the transition committee is going to look at the legal framework to ensure that Ushanga transitions until it becomes pastoral of Ushanga that the women from the 7 counties can be proud of.
Transition committee is going to be the one that will look at the legal framework that we have already given a leeway to make sure that we transition until we become a parastatal of Ushanga, that the women from the 7 counties can boast about and say, this is ours.
The initiative incorporates several components, including mapping and profiling beadworks in 7 counties, namely West Pokot, Samburu, Narok, Kajiado, Marsabit, Baringo, and Turkana. James Odhiambo, GBS News.
Kenya Healthcare Federation, in partnership with NCBA Bank, already held the CEOs Forum on Thursday, the 6th of April. The forum is a platform that brings together top leaders from the private health sector to discuss the various topical areas and strategic aspects across the subsectors of health in the country and beyond its borders. Speaking during the forum, Dr. Thuranira Kaguria, Presidential Advisor, Medical Services, Executive Office of the President, said that in matters of service delivery, Kenya Kwanza Manifesto has an Afya Bora Mashinani aimed at bottom-up approach to ensure proper healthcare for all. Let's take a look.
Panel here will be discussing the transformative impact of the health sector in the economy, and I will be asking them a few questions, and I hope they will have ready answers for us. And the first one,
Kenya Healthcare Federation, in partnership with the NCBA Bank, cordially held the CEOs Forum on Thursday, the 6th of March, 2023. The objective of this forum, themed the transformative impact of health sector on the economy, was convene health sector CEOs and partnership with NCBA Bank to deliberate on the impact of the health sector on the Kenyan economy. Through a robust discussion, a panel identified strategies for promoting investment and growth in health sector and enhancing overall health outcomes of the Kenyan population.
allocation of the same resources, both in the hard cold cash as well as a human resource aspect, optimization for bulk buying, I think, and purchasing.
Dr. Kanyenche Gakombe, Kenya Healthcare Federation chairman, noted that there are many investment opportunities in the health sector in Kenya, including local manufacturing, digital health, among other areas. Other delegates present at the summit included Dr. Timothy Theuri, CEO KHF, Mr. John Okulu, Group Director Cooperative Banking, Raphael Ogang, Chief Economist and Head of Global Markets, and Dr. Thuranira Kaguria, Presidential Advisor, Medical Services, Executive Office of the President.
If Kenya suddenly had the income of Norway, would be constrained across all sectors because we do not have enough. What looks like artificial excess is because of the financial barrier, the barrier to access. So the first thing we all have to work on is to focus on growing our economy and getting income into people's pockets, because then they can afford health among all the various other things they need.
It came and hit people really hard. And if I am to use the health sector, the role of the health sector and the economy, the intricate relationships, I'll actually just take COVID as an example. And what we did very well as a country, working collaboratively together with the national, county government and the private sector, in terms of trying to make sure that then the economies of Kenya didn't go the way of Sri Lanka and other countries.
Speaking during the forum, Dr. Thuranira Kaguria, Presidential Advisor, Medical Services, Executive Office of the President, said that the government is keen on ensuring universal health care for all. And in matter service delivery, the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto has Afya Mashinani, aimed at the bottoms-up approach to ensure proper health care for all.
Issues of employment of healthcare workers. As you read the manifesto, we promised 20,000 healthcare workers. The mathematics of reorganization and the distribution of those ones is ongoing. The financing of it is ongoing, so we will expect in the near future that thing will come out. Issues of training, MOUs between countries, universities, and centers of excellence for training. All these have to work through the digitization platform. Big area of investment. And the government is not coming to tell Metropolitan to remove the system that they have. You put ours now, you remain with your system, but we get an interoperability layer whereby all of you can plug in. Voice delivery, primary healthcare, secondary healthcare, tertiary healthcare, Our manifesto, health, is called Afya Bora Mashinani. Bottom up. Please put it in here, bottom up. So start at the bottom, go up. I'm a fanatic of this government.
The CEO's Forum is a platform that brings together top leaders from the private health sector to discuss the various topical areas and strategic aspects across all subsectors of health in the country and beyond its borders. The healthcare industry is a significant contributor to the Kenyan economy. It plays a crucial role in enhancing the country's overall health outcomes and promoting economic development. Beatrice Njeri, GBS News. And away from that, let us look at international news. U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy hosted Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen in California on Wednesday, becoming the most senior U.S. figure to meet a Taiwanese leader on U.S. soil in decades after stressed the need to accelerate arms deliveries to Taiwan in the face of rising threats from China. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump on Wednesday called on his fellow Republicans in Congress to slash funding for the U.S. Justice Department and the FBI, one day after pleading not guilty for New York to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Let's take a look.
Trump, who is seeking to regain the presidency in 2024, took aim at federal law enforcement authorities, even though the criminal charges are against him. The former POTUS faced the two Justice Department criminal investigations led by Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was appointed by U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Both have seemed to accelerate charges against him in recent months. Republicans in Congress should defund the Department of Justice, DOJ, and FBI until they come to their senses, Trump wrote on his social media platform. The FBI, part of the Justice Department, is the U.S. Domestic Intelligence and Security Agency. Trump himself appointed the current FBI Director Christopher Wray after firing its previous chief, James Comey, in 2017. Trump backed spending increases for the Justice Department while serving as president from 2017 to 2021. Its budget increased 4% during the span to $38.7 billion, White House figures showed. In the meantime, U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy hosted Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen in California on Wednesday, becoming the most senior U.S. figure to meet a Taiwanese leader on U.S. soil in decades and stressed the need to accelerate arms deliveries to Taiwan in the face of rising threats from China. McCarthy, the third highest ranking official in the U.S. leadership hierarchy, and other Republican and Democratic lawmakers met Tsai at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California, despite the threats of retaliation from China, which claims self-ruled Taiwan as its own.
Restraint, and in recent days we have conveyed directly to the Chinese at high levels that escalation is uncalled for, and so we'll continue to keep those channels of conversations open.
A China Foreign Ministry spokesperson quickly denounced the meeting, accusing the United States of colluding with separatists seeking Taiwan's independence and saying that it has been breaching its commitments over the island. China considers Taiwan as a breakaway province and has vowed to bring the island under its control by force if necessary. Jennifer Macau, GBS News.
And now for the lovers of sports, it is time for sports news. Leaders in Narok County, led by Governor Patrick Ole Ntutu, launched a tree planting drive ahead of the 12th edition of Wasco Games to be hosted by Naweso in August 2023. The main aim of the drive was to combat climate change through sports. McDonald with more.
National Chairman Water Companies Sports Organization WASCO and Narok County Governor Patrick Ole Ntutu and other leaders today launched a tree planting drive ahead of the 12th edition of the WASCO Games to be hosted by NARWASCO in August 2023, with the main thing being combating climate change through sport. Speaking at William Ole Ntimama Stadium, WASCO Chairman Peter Kamau said they decided to have this WASCO tree launch drive before the game on August to make sure they stand with the president's aim of making sure 15 billion trees are planted in the next 10 years.
We have planned in line with
the carry-on call from the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Honorable Dr. William Ruto, to plant trees to conserve the environment. It is worthwhile noting that we deal with a singular commodity whose source largely depends on our climate condition. Trees are major contributors to conducive environment to encourage presence of sound source of water.
He added that the world is experiencing climate change and global warming, and this drive will help to increase forest cover in the country, and he is satisfied with the Narok County to host WASCO 12th edition in August.
Most of our companies were greatly affected in the previous drought, which led the closure of some of the water treatment due to lack of water in the rivers. We shall, as our main activity, request through you, sir, to invite His Excellency the President to join us in the official opening.
Tusker won 1-0 on the stoppage time against AFC Leopards yesterday at Nyayo Stadium. The win narrowed the gap with the league leaders Gor Mahia, who went on a frustrating draw with Sofapaka at Moi Sports Kasarani. Here are the details.
Tusker FC and a hand task yesterday at Nyayo Stadium as they faced AFC Leopards on the FKF Premier League match. Tusker and a narrow win of 1-0, though both teams displayed a good match, with AFC forwards missing a couple of clear chances. Lawrence Luvanda set up for Stewart Omondi on the stopping time, giving the Brewers the crucial win that shortened the gap between them and league leaders Gor Mahia. Tusker have 10 unbeaten matches recently, and they will be advantaged if they win their game in hand. The win narrowed the gap with Gor Mahia to 4 points after league leaders going on a frustrating draw at Moi Sports Kasarani against Sofapaka. Speaking after the match, Tusker FC Robert Matano termed the match as tactical, noting the win is important as it gives them hope to reclaim the league title.
It was a tight match as we expected, as I told you the other day. We expected a tough match, and we saw it. But we planned so well, very well. And the players also, they play according to the way we have been training. FC is a strong team. They have good players. It's a tactical side. But we master them throughout all departments. We control all over the game. And it happened that we got a 1-0. That's good. We wanted to win so that also we can move forward with the league. I'm happy for it. It is massive because we are closing the gap.
Once again, a big thank you for joining this live broadcast. The SMS line is 21144 GBS TV Africa in all our social media handles. Everything that has a beginning has an end, and that brings us to the end of GBS News at 9. And do remember, here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.